Hello there, welcome to Bethnal Green here in East London. I'm here for a special visit to find out a little bit more about an iconic memorial and also to tell you a little bit more about that particular memorial and the story behind it. Welcome to the Stairway to Heaven Memorial. On the 3rd of March 1943 at 8:17 in the evening, an air raid siren was sounded in this area of Bethnal Green, and then people in the locality started making their way to the underground shelters here at this underground station, as they have been doing for many years. Now, bearing in mind that it was night time, of course, it was rather dark, there was very little light to help you to see where you were going. But the Londoners have got quite used to this over the years and probably instinctively know pretty much where to go. About 10 minutes after the air raid siren sounded, all of a sudden there was an unusual and unrecognised, very large booming sound. It actually came from an anti-aircraft battery that had been installed and was being tested out there and then. However, many people thought it was the dropping of German bombs, and so they panicked. People rushed down these steps to avoid what they thought were bombs dropping, bearing in mind there was no middle handrail in those days because it was still an unfinished station. Suddenly, at the bottom of the stairs here, a lady with a child in her arms fell. In the darkness and on the steep steps, people behind couldn't see what was happening, and they just kept on rushing down, falling on top of her. A complete jam of about 300 people, 5 or 6 deep, built up within seconds. People couldn't move, pinned down by the weight of those above them, and then they couldn't breathe. It was 3 hours before the last of the 173 that died on that night were pulled out. 84 women, 62 children and 27 men. Over 90 were injured and many more suffered lifelong trauma, particularly the rescuers. The Bethnal Green tube shelter disaster turned out to be the worst UK civilian disaster in the entire Second World War, and yet no bombs were dropped. The local council had asked the government 3 times to ask for funding to get the shelter improved and is redesigned for safety, but had largely been refused on every occasion. In 1993, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of this disaster, a plaque was erected above the very staircase at the very point where the disaster first unfolded. Several years later, local architect Harry Pitykas was walking by and was quite saddened by the fact there was such a small and demure plaque for such an important event that had happened here and to commemorate so many lost lives. And he came up with an idea. Harry thought, why not have a cast of the space where so many had died, turn it upside down and suspend it over the stairs, creating a relationship between where the people had died and a memorial to them directly above. Harry Pitykas' original plan for the memorial stairs to overhang the station steps was not allowed, but placing it in Bethnal Green Gardens, right next to the underground station and the very steps where it happened, enables the public to circulate around the sculpture, bringing people closer to the story. The memorial was completed in December 2018. The roof of the newly positioned inverted memorial stairs houses 173 small conical lights shafts that allow sunlight to shine through, each one representing a person who died on that night. Dispersed at one end and more tightly packed at the other, the conicals reflect something of that terrible night in 1943, while simultaneously shining light on the disaster so long after the event. In addition, there are 3 plaques on the wall of the memorial which give you all the names of the 173 victims of that night. The youngest was John Newman, who was just 1 year and 1 month old. Just across the road is the Church of St John on Bethnal Green, and every March, in early March every year, a memorial service is held to remember all 173 victims, and each name is read out so that they will never be forgotten.